Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Happy Monday everyone. Yes, it's Monday again, which means we have the Mallard. Now I've got issue 85 here. Now I do know, I said last week I was probably going to group a few together. However, with this one, when I flicked through last week, it didn't look like there was much to do, but it looks like there is a little bit of work to do. We are just putting this in, but we've got to do a bit of prep work on this first. We've got to drill quite a few holes and put some wire in, and we have to do a little bit of work to the chassis to get this to fit in as well. And when I looked at the next couple of issues, so this is issue 85, issue 86 and 87, we are moving on to the tender. Now, both of those, I've had a quick look. It looks like we're just doing a little bit of bending. So that's part of the tender. And we've got to bend that into shape. Same with 87. And next week, I'm hopefully going to be doing 86, 87, because they look quite quick and simple issues. But I'll bundle it with issue 88. And we'll have this, which is the tender body. Now, I had a quick look through 88 as well. And it looks like there's quite a lot of work to do in 88, where we're assembling the body onto the chassis and actually putting the two parts of the chassis together. So that'll be next week. And this week, as I say, we do 85. We sort of like close the door on the main body chassis, and then next week we'll open the door and get right into the chassis of the tender and the tender body. So let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great, starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, so issue 85 of the Mallard, and these are the parts we've got today, which I've got just here. We've had to grab a few things from the previous issues. So we've got a little bit of square bar from issue 11. We have the blowdown valve from issue 53. We have the ash pan lever from issue 58. And we have some 0.7mm wire. It says from 73, but I think I still had some. So that's just some I had in the box. And from 85, we have the locomotive chassis itself as well. So, as you can see, you need to drill quite a few holes in that piece. And we've got the chassis assembly there. And we need to cut a few bits of bar. We need to put it all within here. Flat it off. We've got the blowdown valve going in there. We need to cut out a piece of the wire we put in last week with the brakes, because that's actually in the way of where the this is going to attach with the bolts. We need to open those holes up to make sure they will take the bolts. I'm going to place that in, screw it in, and then it looks like we've got a little bit more wire to put in. And then we've got the ash pan lever to put in, and file it to the right length as well. And then by the time we're finished, we'll have something that looks just like that. So, as I said, there is a fair bit to do for this. Starting off with drilling out of this. We'll just flick through the rest of the magazine for you. So we've got the Mallard story, and we've got Britain's Railways. Like that. Right, so as I said, we've got this piece here, and we've got quite a few holes to drill in this. So we have these two at the back here. They're going to be 2.1mm. We then have this one here, and that's going to be at 1.7mm. Then we have these ones on the corners here. They're going to be 1.2mm, and they go through at an angle. And then finally we have two 0.8mm ones, which go into these little parts here. So I'm going to get all those drilled because you've seen me do enough drilling on this channel and on this project. So I'll get all those done and then I'll come back. Right, so I figured to start recording again, mainly because I've drilled this out and I've also at the same time sort of come across a bit of a problem. I was going to do all the drilling off camera, as I said. Now we still need to drill 2 holes in this. I have done the drilling on this one. Now I've got the 2.1 in there at the moment, which is the last one, and I've basically just done the same process I've said to you before, where start with your smallest one and work up to your bigger one. That way, if you make a mistake where you've drilled, then at least you've drilled a smaller hole than the larger hole. You can imagine if I'd done 2.1 into one of these corners or something, and that could have potentially been a bit of a disaster. Now, the reason I mentioned the corners is the instructions will tell you to take your 1.2mm bit and go through at an angle. Now, when I sort of looked at doing that, what's going to happen is you'll end up with just a hole in the corner. You won't have this small piece still left in place. And I think actually this is the 2.1mm. Yeah. Not 2.1, sorry, 1.2. So instead of going through at an angle, what I've done, I've drilled 2 separate holes just a little bit deeper. So one's gone in at that angle that hopefully you can see on the top camera, and then this one's gone in at this angle. Yeah, so we've gone at 90 degrees basically to the part. And I've done the exact same thing for this one and this one. And I've just gone in deep enough that the 1mm brass square rod will just sit in there enough that I can glue it. I'll cut it off and then I'll flat it off when the glue's all dried. Same with the front ones, and as you can see, that does go in nicely, and it's probably only going in 1mm, if that. So it's only a washout plug detail, so it doesn't have to be, you know, too deep in there. The original instructions would actually said put it through like this and then bend it out and then flat it off. I don't see the point in doing that at all, and I think you would lose that corner detail, especially if you tried bending this whilst it was in here, because this is only, you know, white metal. It's quite soft, so soft in fact actually when drilling the hole this way I had to make sure I didn't bend this piece. It was a little bit bent anyway from it being in the box, but I just made sure that rear section is flat. Now that's that piece. Now moving on to the other problem that I have, we need to put a 2.1mm hole in here and here, and I've said previously that we need to cut this bar as well. Now, as I say, I was going to try and do all the drilling off camera. Now, can you see the problem here? At a minute, we would now need to drill that effectively at an angle. It would have been so much easier if we'd drilled that previously, but that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to cut that piece out, I'm going to drill those holes, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the instructions and we'll start putting the bits on that one. Right, so I'm just doing the square rod on here, and I've done 2 of these already, and I'm doing these ones now, as you can see. All I've done is I put the rod in like that, and then just used a pair of cutters to cut it off, and then once the glue has solidified, and that one's just gluing now, I've just come in with my file and I'll file it down flat. So we then have something that looks like that. So I will just cut this one off. I'm cutting it as close as I can with these cutters. Obviously means there's less to actually have to file off, but just going to do the exact same thing. Right, so that's looking just like that. So now cut it off and filed it down. We now need our blow-off valve this is going to go into the hole we drilled earlier. And it's going to sit just like that. So just done a quick test fit on that. It's not probably going in as far as I'd like. So what I'll just do is I'll just file off the back of this plug a little bit. And then just test fit it again. So that's now going in all the way. So just going to dip the end of this in some glue, and then we'll get that on glued in. That's in there like so. Now, this is the point where we do need to attach it to our chassis. Now, I have made those holes bigger, and the way I managed to do that is basically just got a round file, and I managed to get it to go in enough that it made it a little bit easier to get into here with the 2.1mm drill bit. So, and I managed to just drill those at an angle. Obviously it's quite thin, so it doesn't matter too much that they're at an angle. All we are doing is getting our screw out on that. And basically the screw or the bolt is going through here. That's then going to go through here, and then we're going to put our nut on the inside there. Probably not going to be the easiest thing to show you on camera, but I'll do my best. Just going to use a pair of tweezers to try and get this other bolt in, like that. And then just need to try and line it up with the holes, like that. And then we can try and get the nuts on the back as well. And I think the way to do that is going to be try and hold it in a pair of tweezers like that. Get your screwdriver, and hopefully just try and line it all up and get it to drive home. They weren't told to glue the nuts or anything, so it is just a case of screw the parts together. That's two just going in there. And now just so I can grip those nuts a little bit better, I use my pliers and tighten up those screws the rest of the way. Now you may notice that I'm not using my usual iFixit screwdrivers. I've got myself some Wera screwdrivers. Now, this is actually a set that I managed to acquire from Mike Lane. So Mike is now doing the Wera range, and he's a reseller for them now. So go check out his website for those. And I'll probably be doing a little bit of a Mike Lane video at some point in the near future. Next up, we have our 0.7mm wire. We're told to cut this to 5mm. I'm not going to do that. Basically, we need 5mm, and we're sticking them in here. What I'm going to do is actually just dip this in some glue, put it in there, I'll cut it off, and I'll do the same for the other side as well. Now this is going to be a bit longer than 5mm, as you can see. But as with most of these, I'm pretty sure we're going to be putting something on that, and then we'd be cutting it down anyway. So just do the same on this side, going into that same hole. Now, staying with the right hand side here, we've got our ash pan lever, and that's just going to go over that 0.7mm wire, and then this side is going to attach to this piece here. So look, just like that. I'm just going to glue that in place when happy with the fit. So I'm just going to glue this end first. There was a very small slot for this end to go into. And then just a bit of glue on this piece as well. And then we can just cut off the excess of that rod, like so. Then file it down. And again, this is going to leave it so it looks like a little bit of bolt detail. So that's looking like that, and that is all there's to do in that stage. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So that's the chassis done for the Mallard at the moment. Obviously not going to be doing much else with this over the next week or so. We are moving directly on to the tender. Next week is definitely all tender parts. So I said we got a couple of bits where we need to bend, and then 88 we have this. Now this is the tender body, and it's been sat around trying not to be crushed or broken the last 10 years, since I obviously had this part arrive in the post. But hopefully next week I'll have those 3 issues for you, and if that happens, then we will be bolting the wheels to the frame of the tender chassis, and we'll also be bonding this, I believe, to the tender as well. I'm not sure if we're actually attaching the pieces from 86 and 87, but we are certainly gluing this in place. So if you want to see that or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. That way you'll know when I release new videos. And coming soon, I do have, as I said, a Mike Lane video. He has sent me a little bit of a care package, so I'll show you what goodies are in that box soon. And also I'll mention about the wearer screwdrivers again. Haven't used them much, but they're certainly really good so far from what I've used, and I've sort of given into a little bit of peer pressure because I've seen so many people using these and rave about them, so I've decided I'd go get myself a set as well. So that's all coming soon on the channel, so do make sure you hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.